Welcome everybody to a look at a very special 4K Steelbook release, and it is a hefty one as it includes six films which have never had a 4K release before now, even in the likes of America, and yeah, six films that make up part of a much larger series. And I'm of course talking about the Sean Connery six-film collection as part of the James Bond series starting in 1962 and as so far lasting up until 2021. So yeah, hopefully we will do get a 26th film in the series. But yeah, really looking forward to this. I know it's pricey. I know there are potentially issues with the 4K resolution and such that I personally haven't come across yet because I've not seen these yet. And I know some people have had criticisms about the steelbooks themselves in terms of the design that are on them. But I feel like steelbooks can go either one way or, no, or another, quite frankly, in terms of design. I feel like they can look busy, look artful, look really rather creative. But then I think like there's those minimalist versions of steelbooks that I do think look pretty good, damn good as well. And being on a steelbook as opposed to a normal Blu-ray does mean that I feel like they do look a little bit classier when they're in the steelbook frame of mind. So yeah, first film in the series, obviously Doctor No, Sean Connery's first appearance, and then we have the reverse. And I do like the reverses, but I just don't see the point in saying made in Denmark on the bottom there. I don't need to know where it's made, and if you want to tell me where it's made, why not just say it on the inside? So yeah, but we do have the 4K disc and the Blu-ray as well, as shown there with again another shot from the film on the inside, where he's yeah, getting chased by a hearse that's trying to basically ram him off the road. Not the most spectacular car chase in the series, but definitely one that is memorable, especially with the one-liner that concludes it and the massive explosion when the hearse eventually goes off the edge of a cliff, which is always enjoyable. And yeah, in that steelbook, you do get the certification of the release as well. Now, there are a lot of these being made, but probably not quite as many as you might expect, given it is James Bond after all. So yeah, I have number 8080 out of 15,300. So yeah, pretty nice little extra, but certainly not the reason you're buying this collection at the end of the day. I would have liked more extras, you know, art cards, posters, something like that, considering this did cost quite a hefty £120. But you divide that by six, and what you're getting about £20, £25 thereabouts per steelbook, which is right in line with the average steelbook that is on sale on its own. And then we have what is my current favourite Connery film in the series, and that is From Russia with Love. Definitely my favourite of his films so far that at the moment. Now, granted, I'm sure there's plenty of James Bond fans out there that have their favourite film for an actor in the series that has done more than one film, and that sometimes can change quite drastically here and there. This is my current favourite though, and yeah, we have a really nice reverse as well. Now, these steelbooks, just like the case, the metal case that this comes in, is quite fingerprint heavy. That's just one thing you really have to look out for. But no bother, your fingerprints at the end of the day are not permanent and they are easily wipeable off. So yeah, change of colour there for the disc. And again, another shot from the film, doing a really rather cool speedboat chase. Which again ends in a fireball, basically. And yeah. And then we have what was my favourite Connery film in the series, and my favourite film in the series for overall for a very long time. And that is Goldfinger. Now, this is my favourite looking one of the steelbooks. I just think it's really way more iconic than the other ones, especially since you do have the glimpse of the Aston Martin DB5, the amazing Swiss Alps, and then that iconic suit that James Bond wore as well. And then you have another shot from the part of the scene as well with Tilly Masterson there, getting ready to try and shoot Goldfinger, although Bond initially thinks it's for him. And yeah, there were a lot of reasons why this was my favourite at the time. I just found the iconic imagery really captivating, the one-liners and such. But over time, I have come to acknowledge that there are certain issues with it that I wish were ironed out a little bit better. In particular, the whole scene with Goldfinger in, I think it's Kentucky, it's a little bit sluggish. It doesn't really add much to the whole proceedings as far as I'm concerned, outside of the spectacular sets that Goldfinger has for his lair, where he's showing off his plan to rob Fort Knox to his mob friends. And then we have one of the ones that I feel like a lot of people don't like, maybe because of the length and such, but I've always enjoyed it a lot, and that is Thunderball. Again, iconic imagery on the back there with his jetpack. So this is where the gadgets really came to hit home. Obviously, Goldfinger had the DB5, which had a great many of gadgets in it, but outside of the car, there weren't that many. Whereas this, the DB5 returns, and you also get, the likes of a jetpack and such as well. And this has probably the best action out in the James Bond series from Sean Connery. Certainly amps it up in a big, big way over the previous ones. And then we have a slight slump in quality with these next two films. I wouldn't say it's a drastic slump with this one though, because I think the cast is really good, and there is some, again, spectacular sets with Ken Adam giving the volcano lair, and that is You Only Live Twice. So obviously, again, the did I show you the back of Thunderball? Yeah, I did. Again, no. What was I saying? Yeah, the action again is somewhat amped up, somewhat not. But also the gadgets are also amped up as well. You have this little helicopter called Little Nelly, and yeah, that's probably one of the best scenes in the film where he's fighting off a bunch of helicopters. And then we have the iconic Donald Pleasance, pre-Halloween, pre his whole horror career basically, as Ernst Stavro Blofeld with his iconic white cap. So yeah, and then we have the disc as well. So I will be doing a review of each of these films individually. I will also be going through any of the special features that are on the discs as well, because even though we did get some card that wrap around the main case, it's not in detail, unfortunately. Maybe because there were so many to go through. Because at the end of the day, you have 6 films and you have, no doubt 3-4 extras per film, so that's a lot to fit on a small piece of cardboard at the end of the day. And then we lastly have my least favourite Connery film, and probably one of my least favourite films in the series overall. I'd say only Die Another Day, or maybe World Is Not Enough. But then again, World Is Not Enough has some quite excellent action. So yeah, but it is Diamonds Are Forever. So yeah, Sean Connery basically came back for a paycheck, and it kind of looks like he did as well, because he's does look like he's kind of aging out of the role. But at the very least, he did get to finance 2 films that he wanted to finance. I think one of them was called The Offence, which is an excellent film directed by Sidney Lumet. So yeah, at least we did get something out of it, even if the film itself is really rather quite underwhelming. I imagine it might well have felt underwhelming even more so at the time, because obviously this is Connery coming back after the series had him absent for one film with On Her Majesty's Secret Service in between this and You Only Live Twice, and I imagine the hype was massive for his return with this film, but I imagine a lot of people were disappointed at the time, and yeah, I certainly was when I first watched it, and yeah. But on the back there, we have the laser satellite that is used by Ernst Stavro Blofeld, who again returns, threatening a major US city for a ransom, basically. So yeah, we don't actually go to the moon. That is part of a fake set. Take it as you will. So yeah, it is a fantastic looking box set, though. I do really like the box that it's got going on with it. It is obviously quite large, but you've got the iconography on the sides there. Again, fingerprint heavy, so I do apologise. And there's the insert as well that yeah, can't pull out. But that's where the steelbooks will sit when not watching them. So yeah, I am really looking forward to reviewing these films, though, to be honest, because I am a massive fan of the series. I don't think I've reviewed any of the films in the James Bond series before. So yeah, I am really excited to go through these, and I am especially excited to again revisit them. It has been about 3 years since I last watched any of them. and that's when I watched each film back to back, week on week in the cinema, one film a week in the cinema for 25 weeks, and that was a spectacular thing to do because I've never seen any of these films in the cinema before the Daniel Craig era. Daniel Craig era was my main introduction to the series as a cinema goer, although I had seen some of the James Bond films before Casino Royale came out. But yeah, Daniel Craig was definitely my main introduction to the series. But weirdly enough, his films aren't just the ones that I love the most. There's at least two of Connery's that are in my top 10, I believe. Um, but Craig's do take up a fair chunk of my top 10 overall. But regardless, I am just looking forward to seeing these again. And yeah, I am hopeful that the rest of the films before the Craig era also get a Steelbook 4K release. Now, whether or not that's going to come in box sets or not, again, like this, we don't know. It's unlikely to be for the likes of George Lazenby because obviously he only did the one film, even though it's currently my favourite Bond film overall. Um, Roger Moore, that'll be a hefty set because obviously that's 7 films in that, one more than this. But then obviously you also got Timothy Dalton with 2 films. I imagine that will just come in a much more reduced size of a box set, and then you have the 4 with Pierce Brosnan, which I am kind of looking forward to getting those in 4K, principally because I do really like GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies. I think those two are really rather excellent action films. World is Not Enough is a fair bit of a disappointment because it had a huge amount of potential behind it that unfortunately just didn't get seen through. And then Die Another Day is just a travesty, quite frankly. Yeah, they delayed that film a year to line up with the 40th anniversary of the Bond series, and yet don't seem to have used that extra time at all to improve the special effects, to improve the plot, the acting, the cast, or anything like that. And yeah, it's just a huge waste of money. And yeah, but thankfully the series came back on form. But yeah, Die Another Day is definitely my least favorite, and that's probably one of the films that I am least looking forward to watching again. But you know, if it's on 4K, and then I feel like it's worth giving it one more shot. But I probably would never watch it again after that because it is just that bad. But yeah, still, overall, I'd say 4 out of these 6 are excellent films. So that's from Doctor No all the way through to Thunderball. You Only Live Twice is solid. I've certainly come around to enjoying that a little bit more than I have in the past, but it still has quite large problems. And then Diamonds Are Forever, yeah, it just looks and lazy and cheap. And yeah, then obviously you've got the massive flaw of that car going on its side, and then they came out the other way, so they filmed a shot where it went one side and then went that way side. But if it could do that anyway, then it could just drive ahead straight anyway. So you know, it's just a monumental mistake for a film that cost several $1 million, quite frankly. So yeah, but the film has more issues than that as well. So yeah, but we'll get to that on my review of that film. So yeah, I look forward to watching Doctor No at some point, and yeah, that'll be the first film that gets a review. Nonetheless, so thank you for watching. If you have seen any of these films before or want to talk about the Bond series in general, then I'm happy to talk about that. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.